Midlife Love by getting married 100 times in 100 countries. They believe grown-up love gets better and more fun, especially for women. Everyone's smarter, wiser. Men are more relationship ready. And if they're not, it's obvious. Forget anything you were told about being too old or too late for love and adventure. Instead, get fresh new tips on dating, relating, and travel to exotic destinations. And best of all, call in for personal guidance, creating crazy, sexy midlife love in your life.
And hello, welcome. My name is Morgana. I'm with my husband of 25 times now, Devin.
Right, she's talking about weddings.
We're getting married 100 times in 100 countries. For the two of you who watched the video version of this versus the 25,000 who listened to the audio, there is a video version. And what I always think when I see the video is that I tricked my husband into marrying a brunette with good eyesight. And now he has a blonde who needs reading glasses. Ha ha.
Well, and she got me again because I would have been wearing a bathrobe if we weren't on video, but here we go. So the joke's on me. Welcome.
Welcome. Well, and there's a very good reason for having video. I just got this super groovy psychedelic Nanette Laporte jacket from Poshmark, used online app to buy ridiculous things that I don't need. And nobody would see it if we didn't simulcast this on video.
It is pretty ridiculous.
It makes me want to break out into Brady Bunch songs.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Or the Partridge Family. It could be one of the two. It could be a medley.
Yes.
With the jacket all by itself.
And if you're midlife, you're getting all the references.
Well, that's why we're here, aren't we? To promote our middle-agedness to the extreme, right?
Hooray!
Fist pump to the sky.
Yeah. Well, and so I'm incredibly unhip, and we're going to be talking soon to a woman who has 3 million followers on TikTok.
That's insane.
I haven't even downloaded the app.
Oh.
I know that is how sad I am. But I am one of the cool kids who got into the invitation, air quotation marks, only Clubhouse app. And I didn't even really, I thought audio only. Ooh, who wants to do that? Like I need another social media app to ruin my life.
It just sounds prehistoric.
Yeah, but for those of us who are old enough to remember, phones when they were attached to the kitchen wall and you didn't have to put on a bra to speak to somebody. I love the app. No ring light, no makeup. It's just, people are talking in their bathtubs. And so my first week in the app, I opened up a room on Midlife Love. And it's a little tiny room. I'm not one of the superstars who has 500 people in their rooms, which would be so nice for my ego, but really bad for meaningful conversation. And when I was in this room, I met this lady who was really funny and had this great story about, her journey to midlife love. And I just liked her so much that I wanted her on the show. And
who is it?
Well, her name is Samantha Housden. We're not bringing her up yet.
No.
I just am not a linear person.
And we're going to banter first.
Right.
There needs to be a brief window of bantering before we bring on sort of the main course.
Oh, but she's so cool and
Great.
So fun. And she has blue hair, which, I'm really playing with the idea of blue hair.
Right.
So because I'm a grown-up and I can do that if I want to. So usually we talk about cats and guitars, but we have something really exciting to talk about today.
Oh, right. Yes. Books. So those who watch or pay attention or know me on a personal level, I am an obsessive, compulsive book buyer, reader, and the more obscure and strange and occult, the better. Like I want to know all the stuff. So I want to know religion. I want to know where people find salvation. And I want to know about the person who uncracks the code. So wife
knows.
She knows
I
this.
know, yeah.
She knows this. And so she found in the
I
morning.
know my husband's love language.
She know, right, which is books. Right. You don't need to hug me or say hello. None of that. If you just throw books at my feet.
Books and a flashlight. Yeah.
There you go. We're done. We're home free. So I got this one for my lovely wife, who was a very intuitive
And you'll have
person.
to read it.
Yeah, you're not going to see the Thursday Night Tarot Weekly Talks on the Wisdom of the Major Arcana by Jason C. Lauderhand, who lives as he speaks simply. Anyway, as my something has happened to us somewhere along the line.
That's weird. Suddenly our camera stopped working.
Did it?
Yeah. Let's try a different one.
All right, then we just pull that one out.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what.
I'm not sure what happened there. There's something in the way.
Let's switch again. There we go. Okay.
All right. So anyway, going back to this one book. So this comes to us from a longtime student of Paul Foster Case. Most people aren't going to know who he is. He was sort of like the head of the builders of the Adytum. There's still like a temple in Los Angeles downtown. And, the 78 cards of the tarot are basically sort of like, I mean, you can put kittens on them, and people do kittens in the basket of yarn tarot.
A friend of mine gave me a kitten tarot.
No doubt. And there's a much more mystical set of things behind it. So this is a fascinating book that I'm going to look forward to reading soon. So I want to thank my lovely wife, but I can't read a book on a video. I might be able to get away with it on that Clubhouse thing, but I don't think I can get away with it here. And so I think we need to bring in our fantastic person.
Before we bring in Samantha, what was I going to say? I was just getting a note from Doug, our producer. Books, guitars. So those are like my husband's two love languages, books and guitars. So we just bought some like terrifying piece of technology called a Roadcaster, because out of my love for my husband, I am dragging him onto this Clubhouse app in which he has no interest at all. We are buying an iPhone because he has an Android, because he doesn't love me enough to have an iPhone to be on the Clubhouse app with me. And then I bought the wrong iPhone that doesn't go up to the right operating system. So we have to get another iPhone so that I can force him onto this app. I've already volunteered him to donate an hour of his life every week talking about books on Clubhouse.
Oh, right.
Because I love him.
Authors. I'll be doing podcasting on authors. We'll talk more about that in the future.
The Club Pod Club. We'll talk about that once I actually get that new iPhone into my greedy little hand and drag him onto the app and force him to do it, because I love him.
I can't wait. All right, so we have a special guest.
Yes, we have a special guest, Samantha Housden. Because we had a tech problem before, I'm just gonna say, this is this amazing midlife mom with rock and blue hair who has 3 million followers on TikTok. I can't even get my head around that number on an app that I don't even know how to use. So she's like way cooler than I am, but I've seen a bunch of the videos on Instagram, and she's funny and adorable and real. She and I met on the Clubhouse app, and we've really connected just because she was sharing her vulnerability and her own story about midlife love. And so we're bringing on Samantha Housden right now to talk about love and life at midlife.
Welcome, Samantha.
Welcome. Well, hello. I feel honored to be here with you. Before I go off on this midlife love thing, I want to say I'm a bibliophile. My cats are my life. I play the ukulele. I grew up with the guitar, and I don't think there's anything you have talked about so far that I have not been like, oh, these are my people. So.
Yeah, no, we could seriously, you and I could just sit and talk guitars.
Oh, I'm an author. I'm actually I'm in some compilations or anthologies on Amazon. And I read in New York City about 10 years ago. So that's just it's my vibe. So it's all good.
No, I think there's a certain riderly mystique, which I happen to love. So welcome.
I wish I had known about the ukulele. You and Devin could have jammed. He's got his banjo.
Oh no, you don't understand. I've been playing the ukulele now for about 5 years. My sister picked it up one day and calls me and starts playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, like picking it. And I said, I've been playing for 5 years and I can hardly get through Rocky Top. I mean, I'm terrible at it. So, but it's just something fun to sort of, do every once in a while.
You could start a uke room on Clubhouse.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So can we learn a little bit about TikTok? Because it is sort of like foreign.
TikTok, obviously last year got a lot of press when it was, the government or Trump or whomever was trying to ban it from our phones and that kind of thing, because it is a Chinese owned company. It started out as people lip syncing to songs, and it turned into dancing to songs. And then it is this forum where people do anything and everything. And there's a For You page that you flip through videos, and it learns what you like. So it feeds you what you like and you watch. So no one who has TikTok sees the same videos. And I got on the app about 18 months ago, before any adults are on the app. And what I was noticing is or just a few adults, what I was noticing with adults is they were saying like, hey, over 40 club, follow me. I'm like, everybody on here is teenagers. What are you doing? So I found a way to talk to the people who were actually on the app, which is like, basically your parents are crazy. And here's why. I'm also a crazy parent, but this is what I've learned. And at the time I was a single mom, and I didn't, I was like sort of reaching out because I live in a tiny town in Nebraska. And so that's kind of what happened. I started doing just sort of funny things and then talking about parenting stuff. And I just do every once in a while, bring my kids in, but they're not big in the social media thing or TikTok because they're like older teenagers. They're 16 and 18. It's usually the younger teenagers who were like kind of starting on the app. But anyway, that's basically what the app is. You can get on there and find anything and everything. You can search a hashtag and somebody's talking about it. Crafts, cooking, bizarre videos, funny videos, dancing, anything you want.
And so you talk about life being a mom.
I do. And, I am one of these people who probably hasn't grown as much as I could because I'm not a niche. They say, find a niche, stick with the niche, and that'll get you blown up, right? It bores me too much. People are like, why aren't you talking about parenting right now? I'm like, because I wanted to do some crafts, or I wanted to, show you other things. So the key though, don't do what I do. The key is to pick, like, just always post about plants or always post about crafts. But yeah, I just mostly did parenting stuff, and they called me I was like, back when the okay boomer thing was big, right? I called myself the anti-boomer mom because I really just don't parent like I would say a lot of people still parent, like in the 1950s, 60s parent, very controlling.
You're Gen X, like we're all Gen X.
Right. And so, but a lot of parents are still parenting like their parents sort of did. And this is very much like, you will listen to me no matter what. Dealing with different kids these days, can't do it. So I sort of spent my time on TikTok building this following. And then, do you want to know?
My parents were like, the frozen dinner is in the freezer. Pop it in the microwave and we'll see you in a few hours.
Oh my gosh, it may depend on what region of the country you grew up in, because still here in the Midwest, it was very much like, you toe the line, right? And you don't make us look bad, right? Whatever you do, I don't care. It was almost like, I don't care what you do, just don't make us look bad. That was sort of the parenting thing I grew up with. But do you want me to tell you how, no, I'm just you ask me a question. I'll go. You go. What do you want to know?
I want to know what you were thinking just now.
I was thinking, do you want to know how I transitioned from single social media mom to being in love with someone?
Totally.
That's kind of what I was going to ask you.
All right. So here's the deal. I was blowing up on the app, and I had been single enough years, and I dated quite a bit, and I'd been on and off dating apps, and I just finally went, you know what? It's, this is not working. So I sort of just focused on enjoying my life and enjoying what I was doing and enjoying TikTok and things. And then about not even a year ago, it was a beautiful February day. I walked into my front lawn and I said, God, I kind of am enjoying my life right now. But I'm okay. I said, if I end up just like eating tomatoes on the farm by myself when I'm old, I'm good with that. I'm okay being single, but it sure would be nice to share this journey with someone. And I'm not kidding. It was like 2 days later, I drove 3 hours away to watch my son at a concert. I was driving back on I-80, which is a very boring road throughout Nebraska. The only worst road is I-70 through Kansas, but it is 4 hours of just, you don't even have to concentrate, right? When I was in college, I used to read homework while I was driving. It's that boring. Anyway, so I opened up, don't tell any policeman this. Oh, wait, he is a policeman. I opened up, I was texting my friend. I'm like, I can't text and drive at night, but I am going to swipe.
Is he going to be like putting you in handcuffs when this is over?
Yeah, I wish. But see, we've had COVID, so none of that is happening right now.
Okay.
We're just a little like, we're both like, really? Yeah, no, it's not happening for us. So anyway, I was driving down I-80 and I thought, I can't text. I'm really bored. It's late at night. I'll just open up Tinder, right? And I hadn't been on dating apps for months and months and hadn't been searching. And so I swipe right, swipe left. And so he is, to my friend, swipe right guy, because he's one of the guys I swiped right on. We started communicating.
Okay, well, we met before Tinder. So what does swipe right mean?
Okay, swipe right, swipe left. So you swipe left if you don't want anything to do with them. Swipe right if you might be interested. And on Tinder, the girls sort of have the power, because unless you swipe right on the guy, they can't contact you.
Ooh.
Okay, so you have to okay the guy. So your inbox isn't filled up with just lewd comments about.
Yeah, letter U, letter R, hot, right?
Oh, it's so much worse than that. You can't even imagine.
Okay.
So, but what I learned was on dating apps, there's a level. Most women are on like christiandating.com or whatever, or match.com. And there's a level, but most men are on Tinder. Okay. Now you would think like, because the women are on the sites that advertise themselves as a long-term app. And like Tinder is supposedly like a hookup app, right? And then they've got Bumble and they've got Grindr and all those things, right? But what I was like, wait, if I'm a smart,
look at what you missed.
I know. What I want to do over? What?
Right?
This was an option? I had no idea.
It's an option. And I thought, I'm going to go where the men are instead of where all the women are, right? Because the men outnumber women on things like Tinder, like 10-1 or something. So I was just going to improve my chances. And most men are on Tinder because it's free, whereas the other ones you have to pay for. It's weird. So it's a really, and at least, signing up is free and that kind of thing, posting a profile. And yeah, so we swiped right on each other, contacted each other. And at the end of our first conversation, so I bet I've had 1,000 conversations with men based on, so at the end of our first conversation, we actually talked a couple hours and he's like, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I was kind of like, well, I guess if we sort of feel the same way about each other tomorrow, we'll see how it goes. And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, I've been around the block so many times. You have a conversation one night, the next morning you wake up and like, oh, that was a nice little fluttering, but yeah, I don't think I'm interested in that. It's so weird. You like have this whole, I call dating online, dating 30 men in 3 months, or no, dating 3 men for 30 months, or for three, I can't even say it, dating 30 men for 3 months in 30 minutes. Because as fast as you know what I mean, as you get all this information about you that you would in the first 3 months of dating, you're doing it with 30 men at the same time. And in 30 minutes, you've like gone through and you're like, okay, next. It's so bizarre.
It sounds efficient.
It's not, because you just, you go through, like, it's not, because you don't really know until you meet them. There's none of that, like, that attraction, right, that physical, like when you're in somebody's presence, you go, oh, I don't care how good looking somebody is. I don't care how magnetic they sound this way, unless you are in their presence. Now, I got smart, and I tell everybody who's online dating, never, ever meet them for dinner or a drink or whatever until you have video chatted, because you can tell so much from a video chat that you can't tell from pictures and texting. But even then, you video chat somebody, it's still like more time out of your day. It's not that fun. So I'm thankful that then we ran into each other. We went on a date. A couple months later, he asked me to marry him, and that was about it.
So, okay. So you ran through the whole courtship really very quickly just now. So could we back up a little bit? Because I'm curious.
So here's what happened. We went on a date, enjoyed it. And I'm not kidding, like within 3 weeks, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. So he had an apartment at the time, because he had been divorced for about a year or so, and he was alone in the apartment for about a year while his roommate was off serving some time for something I'm not really gonna talk about. Well, then his roommate moved back in, and this particular person was not a very decent roommate, so he was alone for a year in this, just basically keeping the apartment up. And then COVID was blowing up, right? I was like, I don't know if I can keep coming back and forth to see you. And then he got sort of moved out of this apartment. I was like, well, I guess you can move in with me so we can at least, I'm not kidding. Like 3 weeks after I met him, he moved in. I was like, but we're going to plan on you leaving once, the COVID thing. Because we hadn't planned on, it was just not, because it was a weird situation. So he just sort of moved in with me. It was like April 4th, and we'd met on March 7th. I called my daughter. I said, oh, by the way, Brian's moving in. By now she knows me well enough to know, whatever, mom, that's good. So moved in, and then about a month and a half after he moved in, he just said, I think we should get married. And I was like, but you haven't even told me you love me yet. He's like, well, we weren't that far along in our relationship. I was like, but wait, you want to marry me? And he said, yeah, because I'm never going to change my mind about you. I know every day I'm only like you more than I did the day before.
Okay, so that speaks to him. And when did you know? Because it sounds like, I've heard, as you have, I'm sure, many nutty ways that people get together and work their relationship and it's fine. Or it seems fine and it's terrible. So what was it? Like he's, hey, let's get married 3 weeks later. Was there a point, like even in the beginning, where you took a look at him and were like, oh, this is my guy. He's my dude, or whatever?
I just think I felt like over the course of even a short amount of time, because we were sort of like thrown into a little bit more of a serious relationship, just because of the way the world was at the time, but it
Still
was,
is, arguably.
yeah, or still is, right. And is, I think, but it was just simply that I'd never met anybody where every day I woke up liking them more than I did the day before, or woke up not like, oh Lord, what have I gotten myself into? Or, being irritated by something. Like it seemed like every day I encountered him, I wasn't trying to figure out how to get out of it, or should I stay in it, or that doubt, like, hey, should we keep going? Should we not? I don't know. I just didn't have any, because I'm middle-aged, I know what the red flags are, right? I know what the, it's when in doubt, get out, right? I didn't have any doubt. There wasn't, I just feel like unless you just move forward in positivity and openness in the beginning for sure, right? And just, unless you're being positive with one another and growing every day, it just seems like, no, it's early now, get out before you get into something that might not be positive for you.
With Devin is like for 10 years before Devin, I made a decision to not pretend not to know what I knew immediately.
Yes.
And so every guy I dated had an expiration date, which might be that night, or like that dinner, like, oh, gotta go. Because the great thing about men is they're really easy to read.
Oh, I love that you said that. I just felt like he didn't have an expiration date. I just knew it wasn't. And you know what? He asked me to marry him. He said, I was like, what, but remember I said, you haven't even told me you love me yet. He's like, yeah, I get it. He's like, but I've learned to love you. Wasn't this like flash in the pants, like, oh my gosh, this is a hot thing. Oh, it was just, even though it seems really fast, it was just sort of like, yeah, this is the right thing for me. And I'm typically a very much like, I make quick decisions, So I did I'm like, all right, let's get married. But I love that there was the whole expiration date thing, because I just didn't feel like Brian had an expiration date. It didn't feel like he had an expiration date. I don't know.
But it makes a difference. Like, sometimes I'm really annoying. No, you don't have to deny it. And sometimes Devin drives me crazy, but even still, he has the skills of adulthood to make it safe to stay.
Oh, it is so true. Because, my dad used to say, you can have 20 years of experience. Now you can have the same year of experience for 20 years or 20 years of experience. I think a lot of men still in middle age keep having the same year of experience over and over again instead of their 20 years of experience. So the key is to get a middle-aged guy who's actually not just repeated the same year over and over again, right? But actually has 20 years of experience. People like that, right? They just never evolve.
One of the things that when you were just saying that line about the 20 years of experience, actually what I was told by a friend of mine was you can either have one experience with 1,000 women or 1,000 experiences with one. What sounds better to you?
Oh, that's exactly right.
You'll get a different answer from the same guy depending on which decade of life he's in.
Oh, absolutely. Because yeah. Oh, absolutely. The one in the decades that are closer to birth are being like, gee, we know what their answer is. There's no contest. There's just no contest. No. But yeah, I just think that it was just an interesting journey. Now, the one thing I want to talk about is when you were saying the thing about you being irritated, or what were you saying, being irritating to him? You were saying something.
I can be annoying.
Annoying, that's it.
Right.
And I meant to say that's impossible. Please go on.
Well, oh, you guys are so sweet. I would say the most difficult time that we have had, even, we're still in a young marriage, right? Got married last summer, but I have run into more people, like the lady who did my facial the other day, the lady who's doing my nails. Everybody is talking divorce right now. Everybody is talking splitting up, or people are getting divorced and living in the same house because of COVID, or they're saying, oh, this relationship, I can't take it anymore. Oh, we've gone through that, right? And we've even talked about it. The last 2 months, we've basically been stuck together with my daughter in the same house, nobody going anywhere, all right? And it got to the point about 2 weeks ago where I was like, if this were any other time in my life, I would be like, no, I can't, you gotta get out. Because it felt, everything was so overwhelming and everybody was on top of each other all the time. And there was no time to like miss him ever. And we have to in our relationships, when we're stuck together at home, and this is important, especially in this time, you have to take time away from each other so you have time to miss each other, so you have something to talk about when you're together. And I think that's a huge lesson. And you shouldn't be, I think husbands and wives think, oh, you're going to for a walk without me. I have to, no. Let them go for a walk without you. Do not be like miffed because they want time away from you. It's good. So that, because we have to try to find, even in our houses, stuck together, an apartment, whatever, we've got to separate so we miss each other, so we have something to appreciate and enjoy together when we are communicating. And that is huge.
Well, we are lucky that we have space in the house, that Devin can spend days writing or recording music, and I'm working on my business. And if I need to touch something while he's busy, that's why I have 5 cats. And by the way, I just want to clarify, when I say that I'm annoying, this is a really important distinction. I never get that feedback from Devin. It would be very, very different if he was telling me that. That's
Oh,
just
absolutely.
me being self-deprecating and saying like, I'm human and all human beings are annoying to
Oh,
other human
absolutely.
beings.
I don't care how fabulous you are as a human being. Sometimes that fabulous chipperness becomes annoying, right?
Yeah.
We know as different humans, we don't all rev at exactly the same rate. And that's a good thing in a relationship, because you're both revving fast. We don't know how to like hit the eject button. We're gonna crash. It's important to sort of, calibrate our revving sometimes. But it's true. And if you're not at a certain time of day, you can kind of like, this person can be annoyed because this person isn't revved as fast, and this person is annoyed because this person is revving way too fast, So, I mean, that's kind of our situation.
Yeah, no, and I've referred to this an awful lot, that they've done studies on people who break up. And they found that there's 5 to 7 things that are unresolved issues. And it could be anything. It could be, oh, well, she's revving really high, and this guy's, he leaves the toilet seat up, right? So just things that people do, right? And so it's those 5 to 7 things that eventually divide people and break them up. And then they interviewed people that were together 50, 60, years, very long-term, very successful relationships. And that they found is that there's 5 to 7 things that are unresolved issues in those relationships. In other words, they're still revving at different paces. It's one still leaving the toilet seat up. And the truth of the matter is, anybody you get partnered with is going to have some nonsense that you're going to have to deal with. You know what I mean? You just have to deal with it.
But isn't that the thing about finding partners midlife? We start to understand that about people. We don't expect perfection. We just expect somebody to be, a good, honest human, to love us and to share our lives. It's not about this, I read someplace somewhere that the line, "you complete me," is one of the worst things that ever happened to relationships.
I was just thinking about that scene as you were speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not about you complete me. No. You are complete on your own. This person is complete on their own. You just choose to lead a better life because you're leading it together instead of alone.
So you said an interesting thing, sort of like when we first started talking, and you were talking about this, hey, God, I'm fine. I'm good. And I could use a partner in this thing. That would be a nice thing too. So was that your sort of moment we could get into a whole God thing, but was that sort of like your own sort of recognition of like, oh, wait, I am actually, nobody's completing me. I'm complete. And
that
there
was
would be this other
absolutely,
thing.
I'm saying that was the moment when I knew I was ready to find somebody that I didn't need, but that I wanted. Huge difference between finding somebody to complete you or find somebody to support you because you're not strong enough in this area. Like, by the time I said that, I was like fixing my own refrigerators, right? I was cleaning, taking care of my lawn. I was, I'd learned to do things.
Remember, you're married and so is she.
Oh.
No, but I had gotten to the point where I was like, nobody else is going to do it. I don't have my daughter and I used to joke about, like something would stay broken for a while. I'd be like, I'm just waiting for a man to come along and fix it. And Lucy'd be like, Mom, no man is coming along to fix that. We just fix it. And so I would, if it just like, you're right. No man is going to come fix this. I will fix it. So it got to that point where I was like, I can do this alone. I don't care how much money I have. I don't care how much, I just didn't feel like I needed someone. I felt like, oh, this would kind of be fun to have somebody to share this with me. And I think that's huge. When women, especially like single moms, I hear a lot of times, and this is how it relates to my platform, right? I hear a lot of kids saying, my mom can't leave my stepdad because he pays the bills, or my stepdad tells me what to do because he pays the bills. I'm like, that is not the kind of relationship. I know it's difficult, but if single moms would understand, their first responsibility is to their kids. If you hustle enough You can figure out how to do it by yourself. It's going to be harder, but do you want to rely on a partner because you need them to pay the bills and then you feel like they are, somehow lorded over you? Or do you want to figure it out just a little bit on your own, gain some self-respect, and then have somebody come in your life to share it?
Well, and a really big thing that I'm passionate about is that when women are financially free, financially self-sufficient, we make better choices.
Oh, that, you know what? That needs to be a plaque that's plastered everywhere. When you are financially independent as a female, you make better choices because then you aren't choosing men for the financial aspect they bring to your lives. You're choosing men for very different things. And that, I can't tell you how, like, spot on balls accurate is my favorite line. How spot on balls.
Spot on balls.
That's my line. Somebody used to joke, like, Samantha, that's not the phrase. I'm like, I know, but it's funny, right? Spot on balls accurate. And that's it. That's one of the most accurate, important messages we could get out to women everywhere. And then the men don't feel like they're dating women who are reliant. It's the power. No, it doesn't need to be.
Then the man gets to feel loved for himself.
Exactly.
And not being the bank.
Yep.
And he resents that. And of course he's going to act resentful if he's the bank and not loved for himself. And he's also forced, if men can't just pay for a relationship, then maybe they'll be forced to emotionally mature and become good relationship partners.
Become emotionally available, because I've seen a lot of men who know they have plenty of money and they don't like, well, you're going to put up with me because I have money. I mean, right? It's like, wait, but you're not a decent human. Go find somebody who will, because not to be me,
Yeah, but picking somebody for their bank account is just way too expensive. You'll pay.
You will pay.
Yeah.
People think they won't, but they will. I mean, and not all relationships are obviously going to be equal earner. You know what I'm saying? But it's the idea that I can survive on my own.
Yes.
Together we are stronger, but it's.
You can't choose somebody unless you have a choice.
No, you can't.
And that's for both. Like, you can't say yes unless you can say no, and that goes for both partners. As I was dating, I read all these kinds of studies of how picky you can be about certain things. And it's interesting, there are like 6 characteristics, and basically in a room of, 100 people, only one man in the whole room is going to basically have all 6 characteristics that you're looking for. So you sort of have to rank what you're looking for. And, it's because they're just, the pool is, reduced as we get older. And I found this, I was like, oh, it seems like all the good guys stayed married, and I don't mean that as a solid like rule, but most of the men, in my age group as I was dating, especially, you have to remember I'm in the middle of nowhere, right? It seemed like the guys who had integrity, who were good men, were the ones who figured out how to stay in their marriages, right? And it was the ones who didn't mature and didn't figure out how to work through issues. They were the ones who were like, who ended up either never getting married or getting out of their marriages, right? And at least when we're middle-aged, those guys are really easy to spot. When we're in our 20s, we're like, oh, but he could become.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. When we're in our 20s, we just look at men and we go, oh, yeah, it's what he can be, what he can become. If I put a little effort into this, I see this guy being this for me. No. You right where they are. You assume, this is another best piece of advice. You assume the person you meet is always going to be exactly like that every single day. Never get any better. Just be just like that. If you can deal with that, then you're okay. But don't be projecting that they can become something that they're not today, right now.
That's not love.
No.
Loving what they aren't isn't love.
Oh, it's so true. But yeah, we just get smart. I don't know if we get smarter. We get wiser. in middle age, I think, and we do a better job choosing people, but what you said earlier,
we get more honest with ourselves. Like we stop lying to ourselves.
I also would argue that it as you get older, it becomes more and more apparent that none of this stuff is really on purpose. Like, in other words, women that I've dated that were duds, and in fairness, I've been a dud, the things that they did and the things that I did weren't on purpose. Like, I wasn't attempting to ruin somebody, and they weren't attempting to ruin me. In other words, they were just being who it was that they were when they were 23, as I was when I was 23. And then what happens is all of a sudden somebody behaves away, and it's like, oh, that's just what they do. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to internalize it as like, oh, they're doing it to get me.
Exactly. It's not about you. It never is.
No, it's never been.
We think it's about us. It's not. And the more we are sort of in relationships to share, instead of believing that we're in relationships and everything the person does is somehow centered around us. No, you still have your identities, and you just are who you are. Just because this person reacts this way doesn't mean they did it just to hurt you, annoy you, win the argument or whatever. We're just being ourselves.
And when I dated the sociopath 20 years ago, who really, like my sister is a social worker, she gave me the checklist, and he was like, he scored on all counts. His sociopathy or sociopathy wasn't about me. That was just who he was. What was about me was I was the one who chose him.
Yep.
And after him, I never had to go on that ride again.
And I think one of the worst things we do to us as ourselves as women in relationships is we constantly look back and go, oh, what could I have done differently? How could I have behaved differently to save this relationship or whatever? Now, self-reflection is always good, and improving ourselves is always good, but don't ever get caught in that little, because I have before, you get yourself caught in this guilt of, oh, I could have done this. No, it is just move on, learn from it. Maybe you can be nice, but you don't wallow in what coulda, shoulda, woulda. And then you end up often, women go back into those relationships because think, oh, I've changed this now. This will work. No, it's water under the bridge.
Oh, it's horrible, because once that person is out of the way, then there's room for somebody way better.
Oh,
but not if you're holding on to something that didn't work.
And people like, well, I gotta catch a good one when I'm young. No, you wait a while, right? Because people are always like, it's all, because I think we have this false misconception that catching somebody is 100% based on how good we look. No, it is not. That's
why we have this radio show with video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, yeah. When we stop believing that the only reason we're going to catch somebody fabulous is by being young and hot, that is probably the worst time to catch the right guy, because everybody's fawning on you for the wrong reasons.
And you don't even believe in yourself enough as a human being. Like you're even making yourself a piece of meat. Oh, that's just sad. And it's what it's actually, I don't believe it's our fault that we believe that stuff, because we have been fed that since our first princess movie and television and movies.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I want to see a fat Disney princess movie.
I have a little bit different viewpoint on that.
Okay.
Because, and I may get in big trouble for this. I believe that, that body shaming is not, we shouldn't be shaming people for body structure. We all go through things. But I'm a little scared by the glorification of unhealthy living.
That's different. I agree.
That's right. I mean, when you say, I want to see, yeah, I would love a curvy, real looking Disney princess, right? But I feel like what we've gone is I feel like we're valuing extremes. If we're not tiny, tiny, skinny, we're very, very heavy. What about like, where are the like average, like everyday women who are being, I feel like it's all about shock value. It's all about, how much traction can this advertisement get or whatever, right? So I'm not shaming those people. I don't ever think that we should be calling people names for how they look, whatever their body shape. However, I'm a little concerned with the glorification of unhealthy living. That's my concern. Does that kind of make sense to you?
No,
it does. I grew up with a mother who told me nobody would love me if I was fat. So I had decades of eating disorders.
Oh, me too. Trust me. Yeah.
One of the great things about being with Devin is he's never met a stick of butter he doesn't love. So
because butter is delicious.
Right?
I just want to say that.
Yeah. And so
the French are tiny, but they know how to cook. They cook with butter.
Well, they walk a lot. We were there.
I know they walk. It's because they're in Europe. They walk all the time.
So I gained a lot of weight in the first 5-6 years of our relationship. And I'm a little person, so a little goes a long way. And I didn't get how big I was until I saw myself on a video and I was like, I couldn't even recognize myself. But what was so cool was that I was still beautiful and I was still loved, and Devin didn't treat me any differently. And then I lost weight for health because my father had Alzheimer's and I wanted to reduce the odds of something bad happening, not because I wasn't lovable or I hated myself or I had to hurt myself.
What's interesting, you say that. So since we got married, I've gained about 30 pounds. All right. But it's been and I haven't been married that long. I think I expect him to like me less than he actually likes me less. Do you see what I mean? He accepts me for who I am, despite the fact that I feel like, oh my gosh, I've gained 30 pounds. I'm not as lovable. I'm not as beautiful. That comes from years. That comes from years of messaging, when you're younger, that you're not good enough if you've gained weight, right? That's just, and
by the way, you are a beautiful woman.
Oh, thank you.
And I get where you're coming from.
And you guys are so adorable. You guys are so adorable as a couple together. I love it. You're just gorgeous. It's just, but so I'm starting my, journey of 1,000 miles. So, right. And so I'm going to post about that journey, and literally I'm going to change nothing initially except start moving and have that goal to hit 1,000 miles. And I'll post about how my life sort of changes as I'm moving more and as I get toward that goal. And I want as many people to join me on that journey as possible, because, it's that whole journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. We think 1,000 miles is a long way, but you just start moving. We think too much about stuff, that
that's so healthy baby steps. That's self-love. That's not.
I'm doing it for me, not because I have to look better for him so he won't leave me. If he wants to leave me because I've gained weight, that's on him. That's not on me, right? Well, I'm just being who I am.
I'm getting the sense that you guys wouldn't be together if this was that big of an issue.
My chub?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, in other words, it sounds like he sounds like a good guy, and you picked a good guy.
Right. Well, I wasn't at my thinnest self when I met him anyway, so I knew that it was going to be all right.
The chub part is, it's whatever. And
by the way, the boobs are better. The boobs are better when we're bigger.
I don't like them.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I do, but I don't. Do you know what I'm saying? There comes a point where you're like, I've actually had one reduction. I want another one. I have had a reduction. Look at this. This is ridiculous. How can they grew back?
Mate, is it still under warranty?
No.
Oh.
No. But I just came in, but even when I had a reduction, I still was, a size C, right? So most people get enhancements to become at least a C, right? Well, no, I do. They are fun and they are wonderful. And I do it, I think when you're younger and you're cute, you do know people look at you because you have them. So but then it's sort of like, that's a weird little situation too. Do you know what I'm saying? It is a very,
it shifts. Like, I'm not looking for that kind of attention. The nicest thing is going to the beach at any weight and not caring.
Oh, dude, I wear
so long
bikinis
for
even
that.
now. I'm not, I was like, a few years ago, I said, I'm never going to look any better than I look right now. I'm putting a bikini on, right? I don't care. Wear the dang bikini. Enjoy who you are, what you look like. I don't care if it's, just enjoy who you are. And if other people are bothered by it, that's on them. You just do you. And
I wish I felt that way when I was in my teens.
Oh, I wish I felt that way. I wish I felt that. Oh my gosh, I know, for like 30 or 40 years. It's just so bizarre how it's that whole, youth is wasted on the young, right? I mean, it is. Youth is wasted on the young because they don't know how to use it.
But I totally agree with that. And I don't know if it's us or if it's the context of growing up, but I think people start to relate to us more as human beings and less as what can they do with our bodies.
I am. True.
Which I think makes real love easier.
Oh, because, every relationship, serious relationship you get involved with, initially, obviously, there's some sort of lust feeling toward each other. There's some sort of, hey, let's make our bodies work together, right?
Yeah.
But I think the older you get, the more you recognize there has to be something beside that. And when you're younger, you honestly believe that can sustain you, right?
That's all you need.
That's all you need, right? I just need this person to satisfy my, my gut, or my base, my lizard brain, right? My base instincts, whatever that is that's saying, hey, this is what I need right now. And as we get older, we understand, oh, this is awesome, but there must be more in order for this to sustain. Because everybody says, oh, I talk to younger people, never going to feel differently, never going to feel differently. Yeah, come back to me in like 3 weeks, right? It's so funny how they just shift, and he's so passionately into something, and it's never going to change them. No, it changes. You've got to have something else to sustain you besides physical attraction.
Well,
So I'm dying to ask this because we're running out of time and I want to make sure we get it in. So we're talking about youth, and towards the beginning of our conversation, you were talking about, oh, mom, moving in this guy after a few weeks.
Yes.
So how are they? How are they with mom and the
So
new
my
fella?
kind of general theory is, I don't know if people should be moving in with each other when they've got little kids, that kind of thing, right? My daughter and I had been on our own for 5 years, right? By that time, we had a lot of time together. And I honestly thought it would be easier for her. It wasn't. It was hard, and it's still kind of hard for her, right? Because she's like, Mom, we were happy. What is the deal here? You've moved this man into our lives. I mean, that's good for you, but it's not good for me. So one of the things I have to make sure I do, which is actually difficult, is to meter out my time between the two of them. I mean, Lucy and I have days where I know in the beginning, I don't know that Brian really understood this, because but in I take her to town, we go by ourselves, right? We have a whole day that it's our day. It's like whatever is open, we do. So because I'm so busy with social media stuff and corporate stuff, and I'm just busy, I have to meter out time that he's not in with her. And I think that's really important, because if I'm going to work with her and work with him, I got to have both of them still happy in my lives, because until she's out of the house, she's still my number one priority. So it can't work if she's not happy. It just can't. It's my biggest thing. I could talk to parents with children. Your children are still your first priority, not that relationship. Because listen, I only got 18 months left with her, right? And then I got the rest of my life with him now. So I'm balancing it, because I still have to give him attention too, but I'm sort of the mastermind of the house, that's just, I just am. But so that's a great question, because it was difficult for her at first. She spent a lot more time, in her room, and we've had to sort of work through that. She's okay, because we have a great relationship, but it was difficult, but I still have to put her first.
Devin has a daughter, a wonderful daughter. And I was the only daughter of my dad. So I see that as a sacred relationship. So I've always felt that it's part of my job to disappear myself and allow them their own time. And my existence still causes friction.
It will. But,
Yeah.
but I love that you agree with that see, you have to have time with your daughter without, Morgana in it.
Yeah.
And that is so true. And I know, because, my daughter, she really doesn't have anybody. My parents are both gone. My ex's parents are both gone. She doesn't spend any time with her dad. She doesn't have anybody except me. So it was a little bit of an extra hit on her, but that thing is true. You've got to, if you're going to be happy with your partner, your children need to be okay. Right. It's just, and it's always a struggle. It's always difficult. It just is. It's just always difficult, but you can make it work, if you're positive about it and everybody involved knows that you have their best interest at heart and you care about them both.
So
we're in the last minute. Like I could
Yes.
talk
I'll
with
shut
you
up.
for another hour. Where do people find you to watch all of your amazing videos?
At MONW, which stands for Middle of Nowhere, MONW. I should have had a Middle of Nowhere shirt on. 0102. You search up Mom of TikTok on the internet. You'll see, me in the Wall Street Journal, whatever. If you search Mom of TikTok, but hashtag Mom of TikTok, but my handle, everything, where is MONW 0102.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes for
Okay.
the replay, and anybody who's watching right now who's not driving.
Oh, and I'm starting a new collab page called @Parenting360. I'm highlighting all kinds of parents. So if you get on TikTok, go to @Parenting360. It's a brand new page. We're building it with all parent voices and everything. Anyway,
Oh, fantastic.
I'll be quiet. I love this time with you. You guys
I
are
love
amazing.
you. I wish we could go another hour. You're so much fun. Next time we'll do music too.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I can sing. I was a funeral singer in high school. That was my job. I got $50 a pop. My friends were making $1.85 an hour. I made $50
Oh
every
my
half
God,
hour.
you would be doing so well this year if you were still doing that.
Yeah, that is a morbid thought.
Sorry. On Zoom, you
That
could,
is
like on
I
the
could just
side.
Zoom at funerals. It was a good high school gig, let me tell you. Anyway,
Okay.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. This has been a very crazy episode of Crazy Sexy Midlife Love.
It really was.
Oh, thank you so much, Samantha. And
I love you guys already. You're my kind of people. Have a
we
good
will,
night.
Of course, stay in touch. Good night.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
And we will be back next week with another episode of Crazy Sexy Midlife Love. Mwah.
Thank you for listening to Crazy Sexy Midlife Love. Please sign up to join our free love family at crazysexymidlifelove.com to get alerts to live shows, call in and ask questions, or just listen in. And ladies, don't forget to download Devin's free ebook, Women Are Smarter Than Men and Other Secrets Marriage-Minded Women Need to Know. Also available at crazysexymidlifelove.com.